Hey, welcome into a very special Whoosh to end the year. This is a wrap-up video of my trip to Japan, and yes, I have put it off for long enough. I want to share it with everybody. A couple of quick things. No, it does not capture everything from the trip. The trip was 2 weeks long. There's a lot in it, but this is a lot of the highlights from the trip, so I really hope everybody enjoys it. It was an absolutely amazing trip. It was something that I didn't expect it to have the profound effect it has had on me. And I really hope you enjoy this video. Just a little bit of background before we jump in. We happen to be traveling on this trip with our friends Lindsay and Oscar, and our now friends Pat and Sasha. So you'll see them throughout the video at random times. They were absolutely awesome. Really, really great to travel with them, and had an absolute blast on this trip with them. And I hope they enjoyed it as much as we did. So with that, let's go take a look at Japan. So after about 16 hours of travel, we were finally able to land at Narita Airport in Tokyo, where we were greeted by some amazing signs from Nintendo that said welcome to Japan and have a great time. After this, we checked into our hotel and called it a night. The next day, we journeyed over to Shibuya and enjoyed a nice walk to the Meiji Jingu Temple. And as you can kind of tell from the video here, the walk took quite a while, but it was amazing because of the sights along the way. Here we have some sake bottles on the right and some wine barrels on the left that were tributes to the temple itself, which is cool because I did not see that at any of the other temples we journeyed to during our time in Japan. So that was a really, really interesting and amazing sight to see here. And the temple itself was absolutely amazing. Some of the stuff in the temple we weren't allowed to film, which is totally fine, totally respectable. And part of the reason I didn't film as much in Japan is a lot of the time they like to get permission ahead of time, so filming isn't always something feasible. And I really wanted to be able to take in the time and enjoy Japan for what it was a lot. Filming the temples and stuff was easy because I clipped my GoPro on my backpack and kind of walked along the way, but a lot of the other things, filming in the stores and arcades and stuff like that, I feel like is something you need to get a lot of permission for ahead of time. So I didn't really want to push my luck on that front. That being said, this temple, like I said, was stunning, and I could not have had a better time visiting a temple. And trust me, there are plenty of other temples we're going to go to as well. This one just happened to be the first one, and it was amazing to go see. So enjoy the quick tour. take a brief moment to cut away from the temple tour to allow Oscar to audition for modeling. On our way out of the temple, we got to see the sake wall and wine barrel wall as well, again. Still think these things are some of the coolest parts of the shrine. The fact that there's offerings directly to the shrine in the form of these walls is absolutely amazing. And from here, we headed back over to Shibuya's shopping district and saw Shibuya Crossing live and in person. The following day, we headed over to Tokyo Disneyland, had some snacks. They were delicious, and did my traditional riding of Star Tours wherever I can, wherever it's available, and I may not be fluent in Japanese, but I've ridden it enough to know the story, so that was pretty cool. A fun little Easter egg on this one is they have 3 hitchhiking droids, which happen to be an homage to the 3 hitchhiking ghosts from the Haunted Mansion, so that was pretty cool. Another cool aspect of Tokyo Disneyland is Stitch taking over the Tiki Room, and the Disney Sea Park is unique in and of itself. We have a Cape Cod area, which made me feel right at home. On our 3rd full day in Japan, we kind of all split up into groups and went different areas. Some went back to Shibuya and some went to Akihabara. Myself and Oscar, we chose to go to Akihabara and experience the video game culture that was there. We made sure to check out Super Potato, which actually has some pictures autographed by AJ Styles and Kenny Omega from when they shopped there as well. So it was awesome. Next up, we had to head over to Kyoto, but not before getting some fluffy cheesecake. They said eat it like a cheeseburger, so I did. Kyoto ended up being the place we spent the most time in, and it absolutely stole my heart. It is my favorite place in all of Japan now, and a big reason is Niho Castle. You can see the front gate here. It's absolutely stunning, absolutely gorgeous, an amazing piece of architecture. Like, I just love it. I loved everything about Kyoto, and while we did spend the prior day walking around and shopping in Kyoto, to me, the coolest part was doing this jump on, jump off bus tour with my wife Rachel, where we toured so much of Kyoto. We got to see Niho Castle, we got to see the Kyoto Imperial Palace, we got to experience a whole bunch of different things, but the main thing I wanted to do was give you all the opportunity to experience Niho Castle in the same way we did. So I'm not cutting out anything from this tour. While it is sped up, you still get to see everything. So let me know if you've had the chance to see Niho Castle, if you enjoy this tour of it, just your overall thought. The beauty of Niho Castle is pretty obvious from the video here, but just some fun facts about the castle itself. It was built in 1603 and was the Kyoto residence of Tokugawa Ieyasu, the first shogun of the Edo period. His grandson is actually the one who finished constructing the castle and actually added a 5-story castle keep. The Tokugawa shogunate fell in 1867, and after that it was used more as an imperial palace before being donated back to the city itself and becoming an historic site. It was designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1994, so it's pretty great. It's a really, really good example of the imperial palaces and the structures. After having toured it, it's absolutely gorgeous, and I can't recommend it enough. If you have the chance to visit Kyoto, make sure to stop by this castle and absolutely It's amazing. So one of the things that I think is really cool about Neo Castle is that the moat, which was clearly a defensive structure back in time for this castle, is actually still full and functioning as a moat. Also, it happens to be the home of some of the most aggressive fish I've ever seen in my life, and I think part of that is because people come here and they end up feeding the fish, so the fish know to gather around the bridge. But man, they swarm as soon as they see anything. It was very, very aggressive and an interesting sight. So just one of the other cool sights to see here at the castle. A common theme for the trip was food. We tried a lot of different foods and 99% of them were delicious. I say 99% because what I learned is takoyaki, not for me. But the desserts absolutely had me wanting more throughout the entire trip, so I cannot recommend the food enough. And speaking of things I can't recommend enough, the Ninja and Samurai Museum in Kyoto, absolutely a blast, so much fun. Got to try throwing some fake ninja stars as well, and they do reference the movie The Last Samurai here, so absolutely amazing. The last big trip in Kyoto for Rachel and myself was to Otaki Nenbetsuji Temple. This has to be the most calming place I've ever been to in my life. It was amazing. And part of our journey back included walking through a bamboo forest, which I had never had the chance to experience before, and that was also breathtaking. So Japan's natural beauty is somewhat indescribable. The last leg of our trip took us to Okinawa, and this was a whole different experience. It's described as the Hawaii of Japan, and I didn't get to experience it because it rained most of the time we were there, but it was still really cool. And one of the places we got to visit was Shirijo Castle, and while the castle burnt down in 2019, we did get to witness them rebuilding it with all of the original techniques that it was built with in the first place. And venturing up to the top of the estate allowed us to see just how close to the ocean it was and all the historical events that surrounded its position being close to it. Even in Okinawa, we tried some food like KFC and Japan's famous souffle pancakes, which were absolutely amazing. And then Okinawa's airport on the way out had an entire Pokemon area. It was really, really cool to see as a Pokemon fan. To wrap this all up, the last thing I ate in Japan was ramen, and it was delicious.